Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending today's New York City Department of Education's Beyond Access Forum. This event is brought to you by the DOE Division of Specialized Instruction and Student Support and the Office of Digital Inclusion and the New York City School Library System. Special thank you to all of today's event partners. Without them, this event is not possible. I want to remind everyone to visit their booths throughout the day. I'd like to take a moment to also remind everyone to log into the Conference Hub using the link that was sent in your confirmation email. Once you're logged in, you can visit your partner booths. You can network with all of today's attendees using the registrant directory and chat features. You can gain access to all of the conference resources in the download sections. The recordings will be there tomorrow. And then you can also enter the Passport to Prizes. So throughout the Conference Hub, you'll find buttons to enter yourself into the Passport to Prizes. Each time you find a button, you get one entry into the Passport to Prizes. We'll be selecting winners at the closing session today. I think we have about 25 prizes to give away. So before we begin, just a couple more housekeeping items. If you have a question for the presenter today during the session, please submit them through the Zoom chat feature. You have the option to turn on and off your closed captioning by clicking Show Subtitle within your Zoom carousel. And then also be sure to use the conference hashtag NYC Schools Inclusion, that's schools with an S, inclusion, in your social posts. And also for CTLE credit, I will drop a link into the chat box, but it's also available on the Conference Hub. So please join me in welcoming today's presenter, Clay Smith. So Clay, I'm going to pass it over to you and you can go ahead and share your screen.
Great. Hi, all. So give me just one moment while I get this screen up. There we go. So we are going to talk about, forgive me, there is a lot of tabs and windows on my screen and I cannot seem to get to where I need to right now. There we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to evaluate your website and checking your website to see how accessible it is. So I myself will go ahead and take you through here. I have the lovely and supportive Laura Ogando in the chat. She will be helping us out there as well. So if you do have any questions, do drop them in the chat. I'll be focusing on these slides, but I will try my best to go ahead and pay attention to that chat as we work here. So we are going to be taking a look at how accessible is my site. The digital inclusion does have a number of different offerings of online courses if you need to. You can go ahead and click on the link that says Learning Cal there, or you can type that in, digin.nyc/learningcal, and that will take you to a bunch of the offerings for the Learning Calendar for making things accessible. And then there's also the digin.nyc workbook if you care to take some notes in here. That is a pre-made workbook for notes. You can click on that, automatically make a copy, and then take some notes in there. Also, there is a link there, a short link to join the digital inclusion team. So if you are one that is working to make things inclusive for all of your parents, all of your students, that is a great place to have communications, talk about those sorts of things, and the ever fun Bitmoji Classroom, which I get a lot of kick out of making fun of Lisa and Laura for, because it is kind of like a dollhouse, a digital dollhouse. So you can go ahead and check out their digital dollhouse there. There we go. So the agenda, what we're going to be doing is we're going to kind of run through this. Go ahead and say hi into the chat. Let us know where you work, what you do, what you're looking for here. And I see that Laura is pointing out that the Bitmoji class is a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun. Yes. Please drop into the chat about who you are, what you're looking for, what you're doing here. We are working to make things accessible within the DOE, not just websites. That's the aim. That's the goal. That's what we're talking about here. But it really should be that we're making everything accessible, that everything for all of our students, all of our staff should have the ability, everybody should be able to have the ability to go ahead and access any of the content at any time should they want to, need to. We shouldn't be keeping anybody from that. So we are going to also talk about ways to test your website. We're going to go through some of the very basic, simple tests, the very first test that we usually do when we're checking for accessibility. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Wave tool. The Wave tool is what is being used to evaluate websites within the New York City Department of Education. So if you're aware of what is happening with the grading system, with the websites, and how your website scores, it is all done through Wave. Wave is who is actually scoring those websites. So if you use the online tool, which is a free extension, you can get an idea of how your website is doing and get your grade to go up. Okay. So Office, Digital Literacy and Inclusion, Lisa Nielsen, Laura Gondo, and Patricia Paddock, and Latiqua Spivey, they are among those. I have been a part of them. I am moving on to some other things. So I am a former program manager, but never not. I always am one of these people. So that is us. So big first question here. This is a poll everywhere. We'll go ahead and drop this into the chat is, what do you know about accessibility? So I'm going to go ahead and type. I don't know why it is that I can't talk and type at the same time. Type poll ev, and of course, spelling it wrong. All right, there you go. So pollev.com/claysmith573. Thanks, Laura. Go ahead and jump into that poll real quick. And we want to know, what do you know about accessibility? So either you know a lot, maybe middle of the road, you've taken several trainings, but you could use the support. Some of them, maybe like one or two. Maybe you were just told to come here, or maybe you're like, access a what? A what? So go ahead and take a moment and complete that. And we're just kind of curious to kind of get a sense of what people know. I see that we have 53 people here. So curious as to where we are. I see 17, 18 are responding. So we're getting there. We're almost at halfway here. Go ahead and take a moment, get that poll everywhere up. I'm asking you to get that poll everywhere up because that will be used for a few other areas within this session. So definitely take the time to click that link, get that poll everywhere up. As long as you have that as a new tab, you'll be able to refer to it later. You don't have to close the tab, keep the tab open. You can go ahead and use that later. That will change automatically as I go ahead and change these slides. So just get that tab up and you're going to be good to go. I see 26 people have responded. 27, all right, we're getting there. I'll take a few more. We're gonna eke in there a little bit more, maybe some people are, there we go. All right, so we're at 30, I'll take that. Thank you so much for everybody that responded. And let's take a look here. So what do you know about accessibility is the question. Come on, there we go. So what do you know? Oh, wow, okay, so a lot. I like that. I like that we have some pros in here. Middle of the road, 19%, okay. But a good majority of you are at least 1 to 2 of these sessions. Oh, and we're still growing on that. So we're just starting out here. So this is perfect. If you know a lot about accessibility, if you're kind of middle of the road, this is going to be like, no problem. You'll get this. You'll get this quick. And you can go ahead and help us out in the chat here. If you are just kind of getting started into here, this is going to help you a lot. This is just like these bare bones of what accessibility is. All righty. Come on. There we go. Whoop. So what are we evaluating our websites on? So when you're looking at a website for accessibility, the big question is, can anybody go ahead and access what is on that website? Can they get the information from it? So somebody who might have a visual impairment, is there a way for them to get the information? Somebody who might have an auditory issue, is there a way for them to get the information? Somebody who might have a neurodiversity of some sort, is there a way for them to get the information? And sometimes the answer is really easy. Yeah, they can get the information, but it might not be easy. And making it accessible is about making it easier for people to go ahead and get that information. It can be really frustrating. I don't know about you, but I've had the experience at least of going and trying to look for something, and it's just like, sometimes it's just a lot of words on the page and you're like, oh my God, how am I? And it becomes very frustrating. I'm sure you've had the experience where you try to click on something, it just doesn't go anywhere. and you just keep clicking on it, thinking that it's going to be different at some point, and it just isn't. Those are all things that people that have differing abilities might experience with particular websites. So the idea around this is making sure that what we provide in our websites, making sure that it is accessible, making sure that anybody can go ahead and access it. And I like to think about, I taught way out in Queens, and there was that parent who had a visual impairment and also spoke another language. And they wanted to go ahead and access a lot of the things that their child was doing. And it became a barrier for them to participate and be involved within the community. So making things accessible means that you're opening the doorways for a lot more people to be included within the community and participate within their child's education. So we're going to start off with 4 easy tests with this. We're going to be doing skip repetitive content, keyboard focus and navigation, a zoom test, not zoom test, but a zoom test, and mobile responsiveness, whether it can be used on a mobile device and does it change, and especially, since we have all of these wonderful iPads right now, making sure that something is mobily responsive, that when it loads onto another device, that it can actually load properly, and that all depends on if the device is actually working. So skip repetitive content. So we're going to start off with this one. So skip repetitive content means that let's say that there's a website that you visit frequently. If you're somebody that has some sort of an impairment, that you don't need to see the menu option all the time, and you navigate with a keyboard. So the keyboard navigation is key in this element. So if I have a visual impairment, I'm not going to necessarily use a mouse to navigate things. I would more likely use a keyboard to move through the content. If I'm using the keyboard to move through the content, when I get to that menu, I'm going to hear every menu option that's red. If I'm very familiar with the site, I might not need to hear that menu. I might just want to go and jump into the main content of that site. Give me that information. Give me the meat. Give me the news. And if you think about this more in that sense of a news feed of some sort, you don't need to navigate through the news. You just need the news content. So you want to jump right into that. That's what a skip repetitive content means, is that it's going to skip the stuff that is always the same on your website and jump right into the heart, right into the meat of it. So there's a simple test for this, and I'm going to be using schools.nyc.gov for this. You should be pulling up your own website off to the side. So I will demonstrate and model first. You'll have a moment to go ahead and try it yourself, and I will be having a poll up on the screen that you can go ahead and answer when you are ready to go ahead and answer, of course. All right, so I'm going to open up a new tab. You're going to watch what I do right now. So I'm going to first of all go to schools.nyc.gov. I press enter. I'm not using my mouse. I'm only using my keyboard. That's a big thing here. Now, the website has just loaded. I'm going to press tab. When I press tab, I get this banner at the top. That banner is a skip repetitive content. It's a skip to something. So in this case, it's telling me, okay, I want you to skip to the main content. Well, if I'm in schools.nyc.gov, the main content is going to probably be alerts and information around New York City schools. So that is likely where that's going to take me. If I press tab again, schools.nyc.gov gives me the ability to also skip into navigation. The skip repetitive content is often part of the platform, whatever the platform is. If you're using something like Wix or something like eChalk, it's built into their platform, into what they actually have designed that you're working with right out of the box. So skip to main content and skip to main navigation is built into the New York City Schools website itself. And I'll show you how they actually work. So I'm going to actually reload the page. There we go. I press tab, and now I would press enter, and it jumps me down right here to switch in-person learning. So that is the jump into the main content. I'm going to reload again, and I'm going to do that one more time. Whoop. Let's see, I want to get rid of this hash here. That hash is actually driving me to that section. So I'm going to press tab. I'm going to press tab again. Now I have skip to main content. When I press enter, drives me, or sorry, skip to navigation. It drives me right into the navigation here. So I have information about the navigation. Now I'm in here. I can go ahead and arrow through and get to any of these navigation items if I need to. So that is the skip to repetitive content test. And we're going to do that right now. So what I want you to do is load up your website, and you're going to press tab. So you load up the website, you press tab, and you might have to press it a couple times to just see, but you're going to look for a skip to whatever it might be. It might be skip to main content, might be skip to navigation, it might be skip the navigation. But you're going to load up that website, and you're going to let me know if your website has skip to whatever it is. So I have a poll. I've just push it up onto the screen here. So when you have a moment after you've gone ahead and tested your website, let us know. Go ahead and navigate back to, you should have another tab open, which is the Poll Everywhere tab. If you accidentally close that, we'll actually get the link back in here. So I recommend that you try to keep this tab open if you can. pollev.com/Clay Smith. Whoop. Keep spelling my name wrong. 573. So you're going to go up, and Laura's faster than I am. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So pollev.com/Clay Smith 573. You're going to jump into there, and you're going to answer this question of, does your website have skip to and again, this is platform specific. So if you're working with a platform that is not like one of the big main standard platforms, you might not have this. That might be an indicator that you might want to think about changing your platform. It doesn't, not having it doesn't mean that your site is or is not accessible. It's just one of those experiences that people kind of expect. Somebody with a disability doesn't want to go through your entire menu every time when they're just trying to get that main piece of information. They're just like jumping there and like, I'm looking for something, your site has turned up, I'm going ahead and clicking on your site. I don't want to navigate through every single piece of the navigation. I want to just, boom, jump right into what I need to jump into. So just keep that in mind as you do this. I see 21 respondents here. I'll give you a few more minutes. We had like 30 before, so kind of expecting of around the same sort of participation here. Considering we got 67 in this platform, this webinar right now, you should be able to get more. So go ahead, click that poll, click the answer, bam, we'll go. All right, 26 responding, 27. We're almost to that 30, which has kind of been my threshold here. So I'm rooting for you to go ahead, get in there, take some activity. 28, almost there, 2 more of you. Come on, folks. Go ahead, hit your website, press tab. If it's not your website, use schools.nyc.gov. Do you have it? So it's a skip to. So you get to your website, you press the tab button. Get to your website, let it load, and press tab. When you press tab, it will go ahead and show you either skip to blank, skip to main, skip to navigation, something like that. And I'll go ahead, I'll accept 29 respondents here, and no, not 30, not 30. Fine. All right. Let's see how we did. Come on, show responses. There we go. Oh no, 60% of you. Okay, so and if you don't know where the bathroom is, you are at home. So I think well, maybe you're at home, but I think you should look around. No, that's kind of scary that there's not that much skip to whatever it is. So something to keep in mind. That skip to main, you want a platform that has that. Some platforms have it, some platforms don't. Just something to really pay attention to. Love the jokers jumping in there with the where's the bathroom? Come on, there we go. Okay, next test. Keyboard focus and navigation. So this is going to be part of. It's an extension of that skip to sort of whatever it is, the skip repetitive content. Keyboard focus and navigation. Not everybody can use a mouse. If you've ever had an experience that, and I'm sure many of us have, that you've done a lot of writing and your hand is like really cramped and you're like, oh my God, my hand hurts so bad. If I have to use a mouse right now, it's going to be painful. carpal tunnel syndrome. You get, using a mouse can be very painful. Over time, you might break your arm. Something else might happen using a mouse. There are also folks that don't have the same abilities that everybody does, and they navigate in a different way. And that navigation might be through the keyboard. It could also be through a switch. And a switch navigation is just a couple of points that it's on and off rhythmically, and it depends on what you're clicking on. That goes ahead and tells the computer of where you're navigating to and where from, based on certain areas of the screen. So when we're talking about focus and navigation, this is a test to see how well, when you navigate, how well it works with your keyboard. You should experience a logical navigation through your entire website and back to the beginning when you do a keyboard focus and navigation test. So that's starting from the beginning. You can navigate through the whole thing, at least getting most of the content, and then popping back up to the top. So we'll do that really quick here. So I'm jumping into the schools.nyc.gov. I'm just going to go ahead and reload that. I press tab. Okay, that's my skip to main, tab, skip to main navigation, tab again. Now I'm into the website. You see the focus here? That blue box is my focus. You should always know where your focus is at all times. So as I tab through this, you see the focus changing with that box around it. So you always should know where your focus is. You saw it kind of disappear there on the language, but I knew where it was because it popped up for a second. There it is over at the search. And now this is giving me information about how we navigate with schools.nyc.gov. This is uncommon, but it's extremely accessible. Tab, tab, tab. Can I get through this? I still see my focus there. I see my focus. I see my focus. As I'm tabbing, I'm still tabbing through. I can get to all the content. It doesn't look like it's missing any pieces of content. And I can navigate through it all. Tab, tab, tab. And now you might end up with one of those Twitter feeds that is an infinite scroll. That can be very frustrating for somebody when you get into that feed that it just feed, 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 feed. And it's like, oh my God, how do I get out of here? Shift tab will take you backwards if you needed to, shift tab, but tab will take you into it. So now I see I still have focus, so I'm still going here. And I get to the end, and it's actually right underneath the little pop-up window there in site map. I press tab again, it takes me up to the address bar. Tab again, I'm back to the top with the skip to main content. Tab again, and now it's gonna also drive me up to the top, so I see my focus. So as I move through here, I always see my focus. I can move through the entire site, and I get to everything. Now, something I saw on the DOE site that is very interesting is when we talk about logical order. Once I get to Teach Hub on this section here, you would think that the NYC Department of Education logo would be next. But watch what happens. Jumps into the language and then Google Translate, which actually could be good for people that might just want to quickly get into the translation. But then we see it jump over to the logo. So this could be something that the DOE side, we might want to look at not including the logo in this sort of navigation. It can be excluded. You got to do a little coding for that. So I tab over, here's the search, tab again, tab, 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 and you can go ahead and do tab all the way through. Once again, backwards is shift and tab, 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 and you see I go reverse order. So tab, 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 shift, tab, 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 tab. So your job right now is on your own website. Get that loaded up and go tab, 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 through your website, making sure that everything is touched, or at least most of the things. You should be able to get into that content. You should see things highlighted. You should see a focus. You should always know where your cursor is. This is the keyboard focus test. So tap, 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 tap. So your job is to go through your website right now, tabbing through things. And what am I gonna do? I'm gonna throw up another poll. So we have another poll that's coming up here. And let's see, who is faster with this website? Is it me or is it Laura? damn it, Laura. She was faster than I was by like 2 characters. And I think, did I even spell it wrong? I did it wrong. Don't click on mine. Mine is bad. I can't even erase that. I'm just gonna copy Laura's in there just in case you need it. All right, there we go. So this poll again, are all items keyboard navigable? Do you have the focus? Everything's good. There we go. 17 responding. So I have a feeling that some people are stuck in the infinite Twitter loop. That they hit Twitter and they're like Twitter, 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 tweet, 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 Twitter, Twitter, Twitter. So make sure that you are using a Twitter feed that doesn't have that infinite scroll. That's kind of the key trick here in this. And there's a lot of information that's out there on the web as to what that means and how to do that. All right, 22 respondents. In the sake of time, I'm going to move on here. So let's see, how do we do? All righty. Oh yes. All right. I like to see that. We got a lot of good sites here that hitting some stuff, but not what I want is growing though. And I'm sure you can feel that frustration. If you did not have your mouse, what would you experience? And I'm sorry, I don't have any cookies. So if you were looking for cookies, check the pantry. All righty. Great, thank you for that. So our next test, our third test out of 4. So we're doing our third test out of 4. We got a few minutes. We got enough time left. Yeah, we got about 20 minutes left. So I want to make sure that we get into that wave tool, the Zoom test, and it's not Zoom. It's Zoom, like Zoom. So we have to check the Zoom test. The Zoom test. That Zoom test is really important because if you think, and I love my mom. She's is aging. Her eyesight is going. She has the largest iPhone you can get, and she also has the text blown up, so it's probably a letter on the screen at a time. That is the level that a lot of people are experiencing, is that there is the Zoom. The Zoom is key. The Zoom is a key factor. And as we age, that tends to happen. Some people, they might have a visual issue that they need it that large. So when we're talking about the Zoom test, it's, can I zoom into your page and the content get larger? Many times it actually doesn't happen that way, that the content doesn't get larger. So you want to check your zoom. Does your page zoom at least to 200% and things get larger? So I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to go ahead back to the DOE site. I'll just go ahead and come up to the top. I don't even have to reload it because it's a Zoom test. It's kind of universal. I am on a Mac. If you're on a PC or something else, it's going to be a little different, but it's I'm going to press on a Mac, Command plus. You might want to do Control plus if you're on a PC or Chromebook or something like that. So Command plus or Control plus, that zooms you in a little bit. You see, as I zoom in, it says 125%, Command plus, 150%, Command plus, 175%, Command plus, 200%. So it's Command plus or Control plus that you're going ahead and zooming in. Little by little, it's getting bigger and bigger. And if you look at what's happened here on the screen, our words have gotten bigger. So I'm going to do a Command minus, Command minus, Command minus, Command minus, Command minus, and now we zoomed out and our words have gotten smaller. What we're verifying is that the words get bigger as we zoom in. What is also nice to see is right here, you notice that we have 2 columns. They resize to a single column. So this is going to be our second test, and we'll go into that a little bit more in depth. So Command plus to 200%. Can you zoom in to 200% and things get bigger? And then also, can you zoom back out to 100%? But the big test is the zoom in. Can you zoom into 200% and do things get bigger? If you zoom into 200% and your words don't get bigger, could be a problem with the platform. That's what that's indicating. So you're going to go ahead and try that on your site as I go ahead and get this poll up here. Can you zoom in to 200% and all content resizes? That's the question. So you should be able to get right in there, and it's like, boom, yeah, hey, I can see everything again, which I'm getting to that point that I've had to zoom in on sites, especially on a mobile device. It's kind of like the device is only so big. It's like I can bring the device up here if I wanted to, but just zooming in is kind of will be a little easier. That pinch zoom sort of a thing here. Can you zoom in on your site? That is the question here. I see only 12 people responding on this one. Come on, folks. It's like the top of the eye chart. My Nana can see what I do now. That's what we want to see. Or something's changed. I just need to get my eyeglasses. Wait, is something supposed to happen? I'm thinking now is a good time to interrupt and ask about CTLE. Obviously, the only reason why I'm here. It's always a fun little question to ask. So do make sure that you can zoom in. You should be able to zoom in to 200%. That's the key right there. If you can zoom into 200%, then you're good. All right, 25 respondents. Thank you so much. So let's move on. See how we do. Yes, Zoom is a big thing. Excellent, great work. So some of those that don't Zoom, all right, it happens. It takes care of things. I'm glad that everybody's here for the right reasons, that it's not just a CTLE. It's to make things accessible for all of our students, all of our families, all of our teachers, everybody who's around us. So excellent. Thank you so much for that. Love having you here for the right reasons. All right, and moving on. So last one. This is a little bit more advanced. So just know that this is like, we're getting into like a little land here that's a little bit like, whoa, that's code. I can't write HTML, whatever it is. Just know, it's okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. So I am using Chrome. I use Chrome for various reasons, but one of those is the ability to access the developer tools. So we're going to go ahead and take a moment to take a look at the developer tools, because as we're working and designing our site, we want to make sure that our site is readable on various devices. And the developer tools allow us to see what it would look like on other devices without having to have that device. So this is what's considered mobile responsive. So I'm going to click the three dots in the upper right-hand corner. When I click those three dots, I'm going to come down to more tools, and I am going to select developer tools. So three dots, more tools, developer tools. And you should be seeing my developer tools up here on the right-hand side. And I have a little button here that says toggle device toolbar. So when I click on toggle device toolbar, it goes ahead and changes my screen here. And I have a dropdown that I can see what this would look like on an iPhone X. So this is what this page looks like, which is just the slides on an iPhone X. And this is what it looks like on a Pixel 2, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to turn this off real quick, and we're going to go to a website and do this. So I come over to the DOE side, three dots. Oh, let me get my zoom back. Command minus or control minus back to 0, 100%. More tools, developer tools. So I hit those developer tools. I turn on the toggle. So now I have the toggle here, and now I can see what the DOE website looks like on a Pixel 2. So this shows me what, if I was loading this on a Pixel 2, what this would look like. Notice that there's this nice little button here, which I like, which is the jump back to where I was button. I can drop this down. I can say, okay, show me what this looks like on an iPad. So here I can take a look at what the site looks like on an iPad. Now, what we're looking at here are, see how this is rearranged as one single column? I can actually change this into a responsive interface that allows me to look at certain sections of my device based on the width. So here I have a single column where our width is very small. It's 400 pixels, which is not that large, about the width of a phone. As I open it up, I get a little bit bigger until things start to resize and remerge. And now we see that we have two columns instead of one. That is responsive. So when we see the elements on a page rearrange themselves based on the width of the page, that is a responsive design. The design is responding to the device that you're on. It doesn't look the exact same, but it goes ahead and changes itself around so it's a little bit more accessible on that device. And you can see it happen as I move in and out. So the question's about to come up is your site responsive? And I know it can be tricky to get into this section, so I'm going to show you, I'll go through that one more time. But it's going to be 3 dots, more tools, developer tools. So you get into those developer tools, click on to toggle the device. It's just to the left of this little box with the arrow up at the top of the developer tools. And your developer tools might end up in another window. They might be on the right-hand side. They might be on the bottom, but you're looking for this toggle device toolbar. Control-Shift-M will also do it, or Command-Shift-M. But you want to get that device bar, that device control back up. So again, this is a little bit more advanced. So I'm going to jump back to, because we're running out of time here, I'm going to jump back into our slides, and we're going to quickly take this poll here. So the question is your site mobile responsive? If you can answer that, great. If not, don't worry about it. We're going to move on in a moment. But we want to know, is your site mobile responsive? Like, can you pull it up on a device? Can you see what it looks like? Does it respond differently? Does it do its thing? Or are you like having to scroll to the side, meaning that it's not actually readjusting for the size or the width of the screen? So is your site mobile responsive? I like this, getting a lot of good results in here. So let's go ahead and move forward. Yes, excellent. Some of you have some really great platforms then. If the platform is doing mobile responsive just for you, that's excellent. Developers actually, if you're doing a raw site, you actually have to code it. If you are one that doesn't quite do that, then we might want to kind of take a look at that platform and think, what's up here? And I love the jokers think they might have to ask about the sign in the chat. Of course. All right. So accessibility testing tools. There are a couple of them here. The Wave tool, Khan Academy, and the Site Improved Chrome extension. These, it kind of is best to work with them as Chrome extensions, because then you get the page rendered or brought up in the right manner. In this case, I'm going to go through the Wave tool. So we also have a couple of others in here, but for the sake of time, I'm going to hit the Wave tool. So you can follow along by going to wave.webaim.org and installing that extension. The extension looks like this little W here. And what I've done is I've got the extension on here, and we're going to take a look at another site here. So I have, well, actually, let's start with the DOE. So I go ahead and click the W, which is my extension here for the Wave tool. So I've gone to the Wave. I've gone ahead and hit the browser extensions if you're not already there, and then you can install the extension from Chrome. Once you have that extension in there, then you want to go to your site and click on the W. Clicking on the W will bring up this sidebar here, and this tells me that I have some stuff going on with the site, that there is somewhere on the site, there is an empty link that needs to get fixed, and we also have something that's very low contrast. These things can be wrong occasionally. So in the case of this contrast error here, it's actually this magnifying glass. It's actually not a contrast error, but it reads as such. So just know that it's very rare, but it does happen that things can be a little bit off. There's some suspicious link text in here. So apparently there's some text, and I can go ahead and click on this, and I can click the code. It's very unusual for us to have suspicious link text in the DOE. So it looks like there is a, it's really not coming up. So it might be just oh, there it is. Switch to in-person learning is the link text here. I don't think that's very suspicious. Here's another one, right? New York City Schools account. Yep, not very suspicious. So I'm not sure what these are. Oh, it says clickable. That would be suspicious. Anytime that you put those words in there, like click here, learn more. Those are suspicious, and I would go ahead and definitely validate and check those. There are other courses that if you have and experience any of those, you want to take. So what you are doing is that you've gone ahead and installed this, and you're pulling it up on your website. So just do a quick check. If you look at the summary, you are only concerned with red and yellow. The green and the purple and the blue are good. Those are good things. Only worry about the red and the yellow. These are the issues and errors on your site. So the DOE, when we entered into the agreement, we said that we would go ahead and work with schools to make them more accessible. You should only have, if any, errors, maybe zero, and zero contrast errors, if at all possible. One is acceptable, 3 errors at least. And then your alerts, you should have very few alerts as well. And this is part of the report card. So if you haven't had a chance to check out your report card, we do recommend that you do so. But you're looking for the errors and the contrast errors to identify the places that might need to be fixed. So I'm going to pull this up on one other site here. So this is another DOE site. It's called the Morning Bell. And we're going to take a look at a contrasting site that is working very hard to make things accessible here. So in this case, they have 65 errors, 19 contrast errors, and 52 alerts. So this site is not accessible. So this is a site that if somebody were to visit, it does not give us information as to what is going on. There's links that are missing and some other things. That we got some contrast errors here as well. And it's likely has to do with the image that's behind there and some of the coding and programming in here. So we often see this level of error on WordPress sites. So if you are a WordPress site user, that could be another barrier to making things accessible. So this is the Wave tool, and this is going to give you a good understanding about what is going on with your site with accessibility. And what you're going to be doing with that, once you've checked your site for accessibility, is that you check your accessibility report. If you haven't had a chance, every DOE site that is registered with the DOE gets this report that you can go ahead and sign in here. And gosh, if I remember my login, I'll be very happy. Let's see, yes, all right. So you can go ahead and check your report here. And I'm just gonna do this at random. I'm gonna grab a district. I'll hit some affinity schools and I'll just hit the school here at random. So here I see that this school has an accessibility grade of a 5, which means that they have a great score here. This is a weighted accessibility score. So they have 1.3 errors per page. So the system actually goes ahead and scans 6 pages to return how many errors and how many alerts on average. So it's 1 error per page on average, and they have 4 alerts per page. The alerts are divided by 5 and then added to the errors. And that gets us our weighted score here for accessibility. And then over here, we see our range of whether we're in the green, which means that we're accessible, 4, which means that we're almost accessible, and 3 2s and 1s mean that we're not quite there yet. We gotta get some work done. So you want to be in the 5. You want to be a 5. That's what we're all aiming for. That's what we're all doing here, is to get to that 5. So doing the scan with the Wave tool, and I'm sorry, I'll come back here. Here we have 65 and 19. So I would add these up, and then I would take the alerts and divide by 5. So divided by 5 is about 10.2, and then 65 and 19, so 9, 40, so 84 errors plus the 10.2. So talking about 94 errors there. So if I come back over here, I would see they are over the 30.1 threshold. So that means that they are way down below into the 1 land here and have some work. If I come into the DOE, let's do it on this page. There is 1 contrast, so that's 1 error, and then 4 divided by 5, so that's 0.8, so 1.8. So if I come back over here, I can see 1.8 is in the 5 range. So that page itself is a 5. That's like, hey, excellent, good job. So that's how we can go ahead and take this and what we do with the Wave tool, identify our issues, go ahead and work to make those corrections. And if you're working to make those corrections, I recommend taking some of the other courses that are available. There are some that are on demand. There are some that are live. Laura does a fantastic job of taking people through accessibility. So definitely check those out. There are other resources that are out there that you can use to go ahead and support in getting some of these fixes. You might want to reconsider your platform if you're really having a lot of issues and trouble. But this is the source of truth as to where you kind of stand with accessibility. So accessibility checker is what we just went through, and your report cards. So the median grade, I think these scores have gotten better and better over time, but we're definitely getting there. So I didn't actually get a poll here for this one of where we stand within the accessibility continuum, but we are out of time. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to participate in the polls. Thank you for checking your website. Thank you for making things accessible for the entire community. It's not just about, doing something because you're told to do it. It's about really making something that anybody can go ahead and access, and anybody can get the information and participate within your communities, your schools, your students, and what they're doing and what they have going on. So thank you again so much. Much appreciated.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much, Clay. I remind everyone the next session is going to start in just a couple of minutes. There's a watch party happening at 12 o'clock. So just go back into the conference hub. It is a different link than the link to this meeting. So you do need to leave and click the link in the conference hub. Reminder to go visit those partner booths, and we will announce the winners of the Passport to Prizes at the end of the session. Thank you everyone for attending, and we will see you at the next session. Thanks, Clay.
Thank you.